Hello, hello, hello. This is Mind Bakery, episode one. Okay, okay, Sumit. So today I have an idea. I don't know how feasible it is, but this is my idea. So traffic is growing exponentially. More people are there on the roads every single day. Now there are two ways to solve this problem. One is to make the roads wider and wider. Second is to make the vehicle compact and compact. So my idea is to not go the first way, but to somehow make the vehicles compact, because what I have observed is that majority of the traffic on the road is either 1% or 2%, but they are driving a four wheeler, like they're occupying a space of four people on the road. So my idea is somewhere around personal mobility, especially in underdeveloped countries like India. So here's how I think about this. So definitely there are some personal mobility solutions like Uniwheel or bikes or electric cycles, but all those vehicles make a very big compromise on comfort. I mean, people take out car mostly because of the comfort. They do not have to wear helmets. They have seat belts. They can have the ACs turned on. They can control the climate. So this is, and it is definitely more safe than a bike or a two wheeler if in
Okay.
case you meet with an accident. So my idea is to mix two wheelers but with the comfort of the car. So here's what I'm thinking. This is a two wheeler vehicle which can house one or two people, but
Okay.
enclosed in an enclosure so that you do not have to wear an helmet. You can control the climate inside, and if something happens it is more safe than a bike. uh, so basically you get all the comforts of the car, but compactness of a two wheeler. So I think the only challenge here is, just again my opinion, the major challenge is in two wheelers, you make the balance, and if you have to stop you use your legs. Here, because
Okay.
there's an enclosure like a car, so it's not something that you can step out and stand or things like that. So I'm thinking something which is two wheeler, has an enclosure and is self balancing while it's
Okay.
running. So this is what my idea
Okay.
is. If we can replace 50% of the cars which are driven by just one person or just one passenger, probably we can cut the traffic by 25% with the same infrastructure. So that's my idea.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Sounds cool. Sounds very cool, actually. Um, I can understand why you are thinking like this. So let me start by analyzing what you are saying.
Hmm.
Okay, let's look at it from a technical point of view rather than a practical point of view. Uh, Having a compact two-wheeler car doesn't sound new or revolutionary. Perhaps it sounds crazy
Okay.
because the reasoning behind having a four-wheeler cabin probably
Hmm.
is because of you can have a balance on four wheels which you cannot on
Hmm.
two wheels.
Hmm.
Two-wheelers are actually like that because of the lack of any structure that it has to balance out, so it has to be lightweight,
Okay.
no need for any balance. In technical language, the center of mass
Okay.
or center of
Uh-huh.
gravity is quite contained in the structure itself. For a
Hmm.
car,
Hmm.
it is balanced out. But if you want to see a compact two-wheeler car with a cabin on top,
Uh-huh.
you are rightly pointing it out. It has to be the key challenge to overcome would be how to balance it properly.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So you do not think of balancing a car on four wheels; it's automatically there, right? But
Absolutely.
you're correctly pointing out that to balance a two-wheeler, you would use your legs.
Yep.
Riding a bicycle or riding a bike. So one way is to have a two-wheeler car with a cabin and still use your legs. That's quite possible
Okay.
in
Uh-huh.
theory, but
Uh-huh.
maybe from your perspective, it may not be as comfortable as a car. I mean, the
True.
benefits of adding a cabin over a regular bike may not be significant. If anyway, I would have to use legs to balance it out.
True.
The selling points beyond a bike are marginal in that sense.
True, 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 true.
So if you do not want to use your legs, then probably you can attach secondary wheels to balance it out. You
Uh-huh.
know, uh, some you could imagine a system where uh, the speeding down of a bike may trigger
Mm-hmm.
something so as to open two secondary wheels, left and right. So essentially, it's
Got it.
a four-wheeler. When the vehicle is slowing down, only then the extra two wheels are into action, providing balance, nothing more, not mobility, balance.
Got it.
Say you are
It
stopping on a red light, two wheels will
uh-huh.
come down and provide you balance. The moment you start picking up pace, they will automatically, squeeze
Retire.
back into the main structure. That's one way. But a cooler or more sophisticated way would be to have as you're saying, self-balancing system. That's way cooler, actually.
Have you
If
seen
that
anything
is
which is self-balancing anywhere?
uh, self-balancing, I mean, self-balancing things I have seen very famously Boston Dynamics robots. The
Okay.
Boston
Uh-huh.
Dynamics is a pioneer in basically self-balancing objects. I should say self-balancing robots. That's
Okay.
one. Um, so, I mean, I'm mentioning this because that's quite challenging and they are doing a great job of doing that. Because, again, if I go into technical things, the feedback loop from something
Uh-huh.
to be balanced and to be regulated, that feedback loop has to be quite fast. I
Got it.
mean, the
Uh-huh.
reaction time of the machine has to be in sync with your controlling system. Otherwise, it's going to fall down.
Got it.
So I think for a vehicle in the practical world, you would not want accidents happening just because of the
Bad
substandard
feedback loop. Uh-huh.
balancing system. Exactly, exactly.
Uh-huh.
So so the you know to achieve that with a certain level of confidence could be a challenge.
Got it.
Okay,
N-
that's what
So
I think.
now,
I'm sure.
uh-huh.
Oh, go on.
So I just had two thoughts. So one is, one way of achieving self-balancing through my research is to use gyroscopes. I'm not sure if Boston Dynamics use something like this, or
I'm
do
sure
they use
it's
something?
using gyroscope. Gyroscope is the theoretical basis of self-balancing systems.
Okay, so gyroscope is the tool to make anything
Yes,
self-balancing.
that is the tool. Surely, that is the tool.
Okay, so be it like robots running on two legs, four legs, or be it a vehicle running on two tires, gyroscope is the way to go.
Gyroscope is essential. Yes.
And because Boston Dynamics has done so much research, so theoretically it is possible to make
Yeah,
something
yeah, it
like
has
this.
been valid. They are validating the idea quite superbly. Yes.
Okay, so now I'm thinking you have the technology at par of Boston Dynamics and aesthetics and quality of Tesla. I mean, this should not be like a crappy looking car which is very cheap in looks, aesthetically pleasing. Some
Okay.
technical advancements like self balancing, because that technical advancement gives you what we call a virality factor. I mean,
Right.
it is what will make people talk about it. It will what will make people buy it. Hey, I have this thing, and then tell more people about it. Hey, I have something like this which you do not have, which actually creates that luxury brand or luxury product, something that uh, for which the stories are told about.
True,
And
true, true. The impulse to buy
probably,
something.
yes, and probably instead of putting an engine to make it more compact, we can use a motor and batteries. I mean, it makes it even more appealing. Again, going with the Tesla's
Okay.
route.
I mean, right. Electric technology is certainly more compact and more in tune with the current scenario. Yes.
Mhm. So I was thinking. So now this is the crazy version of the idea. No, what I'm
Okay.
going to tell now. So I was thinking. So
Uh,
this car, whatever you call it, let's call it unicar. So this car
okay.
will by default have a configuration of one seat and little bit of uh, luggage space, like you can put in your bag or water bottle or something like that behind your seat. Okay, by default.
Okay.
But it can have a
Okay.
configuration, upgraded configuration of two seats, where the baggage space will be less, but then there were two seats, so two people can sit. So here's
Okay.
what I'm thinking now. So because of these two configuration, use cases increase. So for example, all the delivery guys who bring in your food, they could use it to carry larger packages, more number of packages and because it's EV, they can carry it at low cost to more people. So basically they can deliver more at a lower cost. Again,
No,
a different
but
use case. Uh-huh.
no. So, okay, fine. Okay, so let me add something here. So, if you are saying that, taking your point that let's imagine a delivery system kind of a scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So, why can't you just have an accessory which just you attach on the passenger area? Just have a
Mm-hmm.
regular passenger bike, a driver and a passenger,
Oh,
and just
true. Yes, yes,
attach.
yes. So
Right. So
they do it like that. I mean, they have big bags behind them that they use.
right, right.
I,
To provide a better system, but essentially that.
yeah. So basically, I'm just saying. So I know of a company which did something similar with the warehousing in Punjab, India. So what they did was they built one chassis, one common chassis.
Okay.
So the
Right.
chassis was built in a way, and this is EV chassis. So the chassis was built in a way that could house three different kind of bodies on top of it. So there could be
Right.
bodies of a chota hathi, like a three-wheeler. They could have a body of truck, and they could have a body of something else as well. So
Yeah,
using
a modular platform on top of which you could
yes,
house
yes,
multiple things, multiple form
and
factors on top of a common platform.
yes.
Okay.
So now, because of this common chassis, they are selling directly to e-commerce warehouses. So Amazon, Flipkart, these warehouses, what they do is right now, because there's no engine, so they get more space, and because these vehicles are run on electricity, they cost less. So now these
Okay.
vehicles, same warehouses, are able to deliver more at lower costs, and the demand for this in that local state is huge. I mean, they are delivering 100 such vehicles every 6 months or so.
Good. Okay.
So that's where the idea came in. Maybe if something can be done with the last mile delivery, lower cost but a little bit more luggage, then it makes sense. Again, hypothetical, but main point is two configuration available, even for personal use.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, their use case could could sustain this kind of a model. So that's
Hmm.
probably why, because they went with that, not this.
True.
Or even if you want this to work, maybe the economical model around this has to be figured out. But I get
True.
what you're saying. Yeah.
True. So now here's the crazy idea. So the crazy
Okay.
idea is this is a vehicle for maybe 1 or 2% now. Cool.
Okay. Two. Let's say two. Two is standard.
Let's say two is the maximum. Now, what if you are a family of four and you all want to go out? So, do you buy a full-fledged another car? But my idea is this: what if
Huh.
two of such vehicles, unicars, could be stacked together side by side, and it becomes a four-wheeler?
Sounds crazy, but I'm not an automobile expert by any stretch of imagination. But I would imagine modular vehicles tend to have a higher failure rate. Modular vehicles usually is a recipe for disaster. Typically,
Okay.
you would trust the automaker to have it, compactified enough for you not to worry about loose parts.
Ha
But
ha ha ha.
suppose if I allow you, let's just say, if I allow you to change your sunroof, you know,
Ha ha.
if I allow you to have a control over the modularity of a sunroof, pretty sure you will not be as confident in driving a vehicle where you know that something can come off. Or
True.
if I
True.
allow
True.
you to change the diameter of your steering wheel
Ha
as per
ha.
your taste, could
Ha ha.
affect your driving conditions.
True.
Or
True.
if I allow you to change the wheelbase, the size of the wheelbase of a car, which
Ha ha.
probably is not legal among other things. So what I'm getting at is the following: that maybe modularity, the possibility of a modular vehicle, might not be such a great practical idea.
So how I thought about it was, uh, these two versions of these two vehicles are now stackable. So even if you
Okay.
take them apart, they're complete vehicle in themselves. So for example,
Okay.
if and because both of them are self-balanced, again just the theory,
Right.
I need to understand the
I'm,
practical side of it.
right. Let's go
So
on. Yes.
for example, you have stacked these two vehicles, these two unicars, and you are going on a road, and something happens. So probably this left side car bumps over some stone or some rock, and it
Okay.
shakes up and falls apart. So the idea is these two are again self-balanced. So just the stack is gone, so you can like stack again and continue your journey. So again, just the theory side of it, but this is how I'm thinking. Uh,
I'm not.
Lego, like
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I would be. I'm not sure. I will be buying into such things. I would want not to be separated in the first place, no matter what. But I can imagine what you're thinking. Okay,
yeah,
fine.
I'm
That
talking about
doesn't.
the worst case. I'm talking about the worst case. So by default,
Yeah.
these should not be separated. But in case something bad happens that these separate, so the self-balancing. So right now the self-balancing was off because these this was a four-wheel vehicle now. But as soon as this lock disengages, self-balancing kicks in immediately and starts balancing both of these two vehicles independently. Again, the worst case scenario in case something bad happens.
Yeah, but okay, I understand. But this is a scenario I would not want me to happen. I would not want it to happen at all because if it's a four-wheel drive, should remain four-wheel.
Uh-huh.
You know, unless of course you are Batman, anything can happen.
I mean, that's how Batman will manifest himself someday.
You remember, right? That car turning into into a bike.
Batmobile.
You remember? That scene?
Oh yes, 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 yes.
Right. So unless you are envisioning yourself as a Batman, I would never want that to happen to me. Honestly.
So basically, you can sell the story of that anybody can be a Batman with this unicar.
True, maybe true.
But
Yeah.
yeah, of course, I know.
Yeah, but I
Again,
understand. Theoretical, I can see. Why would you want that? Yeah, true. Okay.
now here's my question. So
Okay.
now there are two engines in this stacked vehicle. Okay.
Right.
So now these two engines somehow have to coordinate with each other.
Okay.
Or both of these two engines have to somehow run independently still in sync with. So basically they both have to it should not happen that this engine races a little bit forward, this engine stays behind. I mean, that will be a disaster. Somehow there has to be a
No,
sync between.
that's a solved problem. Actually, even in four-wheel drive, you have to maintain a sync. Here, you're talking about electrical sync. There, they have to ensure mechanical sync.
Mechanical sync, of course, there is no mechanical connection between these two engines.
Right. So syncing of wheels is has to be. I mean, people have to solve it even now with the regular four-wheel drives. This mechanical syncing is, I believe, is a solved problem at least in standard cars. So that knowledge probably can be transferred analogously. I mean, I would believe. Again, theoretically speaking, it should be transferable in the electric version as well. Yeah, the sync thing, probably I don't expect it to be a great technological barrier at this point.
Got it. So if somebody has to start building something like this, how would someone go about it?
Well, it depends what kind of resources you are equipped with at the moment. But for lesson one, I would probably study the mechanics and dynamics of Boston Dynamics because the major component you seem to imagine is the self-balancing aspect, number one,
Uh-huh.
and the you see Boston Dynamics is in many ways a great thing, not just because of AI and all that that's there,
Hmm.
but the mechanical aspects of that engineering is also interesting. I mean, you know, stable point. Finding stable points in a moving system is really hard, and they're able
Okay.
to achieve that. So
Okay.
probably, if I would start by studying their engineering first. I mean, forget about cars or vehicles. Just treat them as moving machines. That's
Uh-huh.
the key lesson. I would start there. How to achieve that efficiently because those robots maybe are tested or designed in controlled environments or limited real world exposure, but these vehicles, four wheels or two wheelers, they go through every day, they go through a lot.
True, true.
So first thing I would want is to understand the self balancing aspect, and if I want to go full crazy, then I would also study this synchronization business.
Which
I
which
would
which business?
the stacked synchronization system
Okay,
that you
okay,
were
okay.
it sounds super crazy, but I would try to understand how people synchronize even in four-wheel drives these days. Mechanical
Okay.
synchronization teaches a lot. Again, differential gears and all that. Again, I could be wrong here. I'm not an auto expert, but I'm just thinking. So these two lessons are important. Uh, then, if anybody is very serious about it, then I would also take lessons from standard car manufacturing, because anyway you're trying to design a cabin, right? So there is
Yep.
cabin science. Just while you were talking, I was thinking the standard cars are designed with a particular dimensions. They are not completely random, because if you're carrying four passengers, the amount of air that people need to travel comfortably depends on the amount of air contained in the cabin. So
Okay.
if you squeeze it out, I mean, you're trying to squeeze it, fitting a cabin on a two-wheel system, you're essentially reducing the amount of air inside. So I don't know whether it's enough for two people.
Also the
That could be,
also the number of passengers by same
yeah, I
proportion.
mean, right. See, yeah. So two people, how much air do two people need can be calculated. Not a hard problem to solve on paper. But then replicating it on a wheel, two wheels over a base, I don't know if it's possible or not. Could be that you have to increase the height by a certain amount, making it impractical or even aesthetically and not pleasing, or you need it to be sufficiently wide to allow you to have certain amount of air. I mean, that's basics. So
Got
I
it.
would also look at the cabin science of a car. That will give me a lot of ideas.
Got it. Okay.
What I'm saying is there is a lot of science to be learned from the cabin design. So these two, three things would be my top three priorities if I am very serious about
Got,
this. Yes.
got it. So from this, I have understood that so this stackable is again secondary. So cabin
Okay.
is one thing, and the second most
Right.
important, which is a technically difficult thing to do, is to create self-balancing. So one question I have.
Self-balancing would be a challenge, I'm sure. Yes.
So I don't know how much you know about gyroscopes, but my open question is this. Uh,
Right.
Boston Dynamics has 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of robots with in
Okay.
different shapes and sizes. So is there a
True.
common gyroscope system that they have built that they can put in any robot and it will be self-balanced, or they have to custom build a gyroscope system, self-balance system for each robot with based on its size and shape?
So basically, let's just talk in very simple terms. So gyroscope helps you in balancing a moving body.
Okay.
Sometimes you would need multiple such gyroscopes in a single object. So I don't know the details, but it's quite possible those Boston Dynamics robots may have multiple gyroscopes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so
In a
why
single
would you
robot,
need
you mean?
multiple? Sorry.
In a single robot, there are multiple gyroscopes.
Yeah, it's possible. It's
Okay.
quite
Okay.
possible,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why. Because the basic property or the basic use that gyroscope will offer you is the following. See, gyroscope is basically a heavy rotating body.
Okay.
When a body is rotating at a certain speed, it carries a rotational inertia. I mean, what I mean by rotational inertia is the fact if you try to change it in any way, it will try to resist.
Okay.
So by rotating a body, the resistance to change can be increased. Rather, so
Got
if
it.
you are a static body, a resistance to change of a static body is lesser because it cannot be manipulated. It's completely determined by its weight
Got it.
or dimensions. But if you are having a gyroscope, the rotational motion provides additional, so to say, parameters to tune.
Got it.
You could enhance the gyroscope properties by rotation.
Got it.
So that helps in a lot of ways. So it's possible that you could have two gyroscopes in, let's say, two legs of a robot. If I kick it on the one side, maybe the gyroscope in that leg is acting primarily than the other thing. Or the simplest case, if you have single gyroscope, you may be putting it in the belly of the robot where you're expecting its center of mass to be. So it
Okay.
depends what kind of resistance to change you want in your system. So it could be a coupled gyroscopic system where there are multiple gyroscopes helping each other out. That's not unreasonable to imagine. So the gyroscopic science in theory is not hard, but yeah, you will have to still do a lot of engineering about it. So those Boston
Got
Dynamics
it.
robots could be a very nice study if somebody wants to understand more about gyroscopes. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. So to start something like this, you'll have to
Right.
solve this challenge of building the right kind of gyroscope. And
Right.
probably this gyroscope is not just mechanical, it has a little bit of programming that adjusts with time, or maybe you have adjusted based on your research. So here's what I'm thinking. What if somebody, if we have to go about this idea, what if we build a miniature version of a two-wheeler, like
Okay.
maybe 2 feet by something, a miniature version? The only thing that this prototype is able to verify is that, so basically you just fine tune your gyroscope with this thing.
Okay.
And so basically you keep iterating on the gyroscopic science technology to make sure this prototype stays afloat, stays standing all the time. Even if you like push it a little bit, it can balance it out. Like you can see what is the limit of this kind of machine. I mean, what if somebody, you are on a road and somebody hits from the side, somebody just rams into you.
Right. Right.
So I'm thinking, so if you invest time in a smaller prototype, miniature prototype, is the science that you have learned in at this scale can be easily translated to larger scales, or do you have to will you have to start from scratch at a larger scale?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. I'll tell you why. Because in theory, gyroscopes, the principle of gyroscope in theory is only concentrated at a point. And
Okay.
that point typically is the center of mass of the entire structure.
Okay.
So if you are building a small prototype,
Mm-hmm.
dimensions XYZ, let's say a standard cubicle box, the center
Okay.
of mass is exactly in the center of the body.
Uh-huh.
If you put a gyroscope there and do whatever you're saying, kicking, disturbing, twisting, turning, whatever, that knowledge is only partially useful if tomorrow instead of that cubicle box you have a triangular, let's say
Okay.
imagine a skeleton of a pyramid.
Okay.
Now the skeleton of a pyramid is much more stable than a rectangular box,
Uh-huh.
but the gyroscopic effects of the triangular system are not same as that of this cubicle box. What
Got
I'm
it.
trying to say is that your iteration process on the structure will also affect what you have learned, what you have learned in the previous iteration. So it is actually coupled with the structure. So you must have some sort of idea of where you are getting, rather
Uh-huh.
than just building a regular simple structure and doing experiments and validating your idea. It probably needs from the I mean, the iteration needs to be from both sides, gyroscope as well as the structure building, because they
Got
are
it.
intertwined.
Got it. Got it. So basically, if you just scale the prototype of the same shape and size, so basically just scale the shape,
Right,
then you
right.
can translate the gyroscopic science. But if you change the
Yes.
shape during the scaling, then you'll have to again do some refinements.
Yes, yes. So a small rectangular box multiply by 10 times is still the same thing, essentially.
Okay.
You don't
Okay.
have to tinker too much. But if a small rectangular box gets converted into a big triangular box, things change.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
So
But
you need to have two teams, working in sync. The structural part and the gyroscopic part, they will have to be in sync.
got it. Got it. So I'm just thinking. So even if there is only one team, I mean, if somebody has very few resources, even if there's just a
Right,
single guy trying to do something, trying to
right.
validate something, they can still start with a smaller prototype even if they don't have the idea of the larger final product. And because some part of this knowledge can be actually used, maybe 30%,
Absolutely.
40%, 70%.
Yeah, yeah. It's not completely transferable, but there are lessons to be gained. Yes. So if
Got it.
I was that guy who would try to do that, so what would I do? Because in my mind, I'm thinking of eventually a vehicle, not just
Mm-hmm.
a toy or a prototype. So I
Uh-huh.
would probably pick up a design which is simple enough to be able to look like a car. Let's say I'll probably go and buy a golf cart.
Okay.
Looks like a car, not a car,
Uh-huh.
simple enough, light enough, shred it apart, and then
Uh-huh.
rebuild thinking that I'm learning about gyroscopic science.
Got it.
So if I'm able
Got
to
it.
do that, I'm much closer to the end goal rather than building a skeleton of a box and then learning my gyroscopic science. So I
Got
would
it.
probably start at a later stage, or a design which is much more like a car than a simple skeleton box. Yeah, that's
Got it.
what I would think.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Again, if I were this guy who would be trying out this idea, I would do something like this, where I would try something with a smaller prototype, very basic prototype, learn something, then maybe buy a two-wheeler, a second-hand old two-wheeler, and just try to make a gyroscope for that, and then probably
Yeah,
then go to third step.
that's also a reasonable approach, I would say. Yes, that sounds
Uh,
reasonable.
because if I'm just thinking, the most difficult part of this is to get your gyroscopic technology right.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
one of the important parts. Yes,
yes.
surely.
And not just like at any prototype, basically how to intuitively start knowing how gyroscopes work, what parameters you'll need to refine at different shapes and sizes. That
Right.
becomes the core of this technology or this vehicle or whatever this is.
Right. So just not mechanics. I mean, the electronic
Yeah.
aspects are also
Yes.
quite sophisticated here.
Yeah.
As you were pointing out,
Electronics.
the programming
Yeah.
aspect, or the software part. So it's in itself, it's a nice little challenge. Even if not
Yeah.
imagining a vehicle, getting to know a practically useful gyroscopic system in itself is a neat project. Yes.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Makes sense. Makes sense. I think I have a much better clarity on this than I had before talking to you.
Yeah, so it's a nice challenge. Totally worth studying more, at least if not attempting to build a vehicle.
Absolutely. Is this something, again, just asking you out, calling you out? Is this something you would like to give it a shot? Again,
Ah,
just like
well,
that, just like we have given shot to too many things. Again, not as a business, just something to see if something can be done.
look, my scientific instincts will tell me to go for it.
Okay.
Even if it sounds ridiculously impossible. I'm not saying it is impossible. After all, everything seems impossible in the given moment. But the amount of challenges involved and the kind of challenges involved definitely would appeal to any curious mind. So for the sake of scientific investigation, it's probably worth
Got it.
pursuing. Yes.
Got it. Great. Great. Anything else you would like to mention, or otherwise we'll just wrap this episode up?
Um, for anybody who would want to think more about it, probably I'm sure there must be projects floating around the web, in and around this idea.
Uh-huh.
Uh, if not exactly this, then probably some aspects of this idea where you would get to know more about it, like Boston Dynamics has absolutely nothing to do with this, but
Uh-huh.
the engineering that they are involved in is directly useful here.
Got it.
So anybody who thinks Boston Dynamics is just wastage of resources,
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with that guy. Actually, I
Oh,
mean,
great.
so I know a lot of people who would say that it's just pure marketing, things like that. Again, I'm not a marketing guy, so I don't even understand marketing. They may be
Uh-huh.
right. I'm just thinking out loud. But the engineering that they have great potential elsewhere. Surely, I mean, beyond robotics, the science that they're developing is really, I would say, very relevant. Very relevant. So even
Got
if you're
it.
not for a vehicle, as I'm saying, I mean, if you're not even thinking of a crazy portable transportation system, in itself, it's a good science to investigate. Yes.
Oh, great, great, great. All right. So we'll wrap this episode up now. Okay, boys and girls, that was Sumit. This is Mohit. Tomorrow, next week, he'll have an idea and we'll discuss his idea. So bye bye for now.